you can to help them.
You do what you can, you try to set them up for
Yeah,
success, but sometimes, they have other ideas.
yeah. Maybe they just don't want to leave.
I wouldn't want to leave. Why would you want to leave my place? It's like cat heaven.
Now, you had one feral that you did foster, and her name was Lily.
Yes, I had Lily. She was a friend of mine, who lives out in the country in the middle of nowhere. Had this cat turn up at her house, and she can't keep cats because she has an aggressive dog. He's nice, but he's not nice to cats.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, can you help get Lily fostered? And I'm like, sure. She needs a lot of socialization, so she came to live with me and a couple other ferals that needed socialization. And she was doing okay. She was doing really well. Um, excuse me. She was pretty clear after some time that she was never going to be an indoor pet, though. She would let you pet her, but she never really loved it. And when she was done, she was done. She let you know that's enough. She didn't really ever warm up to being a cuddly cat who wanted to be a lap cat. She just kind of wanted to be fed and then left to herself. So eventually, um, she went to the rescue, to the home of Deb, who has like a cat room with a lot of cats. And she's like, maybe if we put her in this cat house with a bunch of social cats, maybe she'll come around. And she really didn't. She kind of just stayed in her own little corner and only wanted to be fed, and that was it. So we found her a lovely home with the two that I had previously had her in here with. So they were her buddies, and they all went together to a lovely, very nice horse show barn. And I've gotten some updates on her, and they are loving it. Like they have their own best life to themselves. They get care for, they get interaction with people, but just enough, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they don't feel like they're confined to a house where they feel like they don't, where they can't get away if they want to get away or have their own private time. It worked out really well for Lily. I'm so happy.
You did spend a lot of time working with her though, because she was very, very feral, wasn't
Yes,
she?
she was very, very feral. Like probably her and Panther, the other boy that she was with, were probably the two most feral cats that I've had. Um, they took they took a long time, and they were they got to where they were comfortable around people, but they were never happy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to recognize that sometimes, especially with those guys who just all they've ever known and they're missed that socialization window, is living in a colony. Sometimes they just need to be barn cats, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or if they can't even be barn cats, if they're not happy, being around people at all, they have to go back to their colony. And so that's a judgment call that you have to learn to make as a foster carer. Like you can't socialize every cat.
Yeah. And what was the
And
process like with Lily? Because you did end up where you could touch her and caress her a little bit, but just enough. What was
just
that
enough.
process and how long did that take?
Thankfully, Lily was very motivated by food,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's a really helpful, powerful tool when you're socializing a cat. Um, and so if you can make that positive association between hands and petting and food, you can kind of start to change their mind about those things. And with her, I think it didn't take very long before I could really start petting her. It took a little while before she'd actually come out to see me. It was like 3 or 4 weeks. I don't remember having Lily super, super long in the grand scheme of things, probably a month or two. So she came along pretty well. Um, Panther, her buddy, never was comfortable being petted. He he would finally like if you could get him in, I hated to like say if you could get him in a corner, but sometimes he was having a terrible ringworm. He's the one who brought the ringworm into my house, and so he had to be medicated several times a day. And trying to give him medicine was, oh boy, that was a challenge. Finally, he learned that medicine was just fine in those pill pockets. And I was like, thank you. just eat it. I don't need to grab you anymore. And so we made a lot more progress after I stopped having to chase him down for medicine every day. You learn a lot um, about how to do things and how you can be better and how to approach situations better for the cats. Um, the more you do this and the more different cats you encounter and the more situations that you deal with, the better that you get and the better you can be for the next one. And so I think Lily and Panther really helped me broaden my uh, cat behavior knowledge.
So it's in a way it's a positive as well for you for the next ones who come in because each one has their own little story and you learn a little bit more from them.
Yeah, definitely. You build off of every cat um, to better serve the next cat that comes. There's been kittens that I've had who've been sick with like at the time what were mysterious illnesses, and then the next time you see that set of symptoms, you're like, here's what you do, boom, 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 and you can help that cat a lot quicker. And behavioral issues, you learn how to help that cat, and then if you see the next one, you can help the next one much faster because you're not
Mm-hmm.
setting yourself back by trying things that don't work you know but each cat is an individual too, and what works for one may not work for the next one, and you might have to broaden your horizons even more.
Are
It's
you
always
always
learning.
are you always educating yourself with things online that you see or read or watch?
Definitely. The cat community is broad and the knowledge pool is deep. There are so many people who've been doing this for so much longer than I have that I look up to and learn from and take things away from all the time. um, People like Jackson, people like Hannah, and then people who are just doing it every day like I do. Like Courtney from Poet Square Cats. I love Courtney's stuff. Like we got into this about the same time and have kind of um I followed her, her journey, I think more than she's followed mine, but it's been so amazing to watch the transformation that has happened in her life. And you always learn. If you're not always learning, you can't help the cats the best
Mm-hmm.
that you could, you know and I'm always trying to take the things that I've learned and pass them on to other people,
Mm-hmm.
which I do on my Twitch channel, or um, even to like the ladies that do the rescue with me. you know so there's been definitely times where I've been like, hey, let's try this approach, or this medicine, and they're like, oh, I've never heard of that, and I'm like, yeah, here's the research. And lo and behold, we've solved a problem, and now we can solve that problem for a bunch of other cats. Like we started using a medicine called Panazaril to deal with coccidia. You have coccidia kittens who have diarrhea. We were using Albon, which Albon's a 21-day treatment,
Mm-hmm.
and Panazaril is 5 days. And it's very safe and effective, and vets are just starting to prescribe it more and more. And so I had one kitten who I took to a vet through the rescue, and the vet prescribed that to me. And I was like, hey, this worked so well. We were treating this kitten for diarrhea for weeks, and this cleared it up. And now we're using it regularly for all of our coccidia cases, which helps the kittens because they don't have to be medicated so much, so long. They can get in and get out and get adopted. So yeah,
And
always learning.
is the differences even with the prices for that for a short treatment or a long treatment? Is it beneficial to the shelter?
It it's beneficial in the long run. It is a more expensive medicine because it has to be compounded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's actually used it's used a lot in horses, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just starting to see it used more in cats. Um, so while a bottle is more expensive up front than a bottle of Albon, it goes farther because you can
Mm-hmm.
dose. You don't have to give as many doses for one cat,
Mm-hmm.
so you can spread that bottle farther for more cats. So the cost benefit
Yeah.
balances out.
But also making sure they're not sick for as long as well.
Yeah, making sure they're not sick for as long, getting them healthy and adoptable faster so you can turn cats over and make more space for more
Mhm.
cats. Yeah, it's a definite been a big game changer for ARP rescue.
So it's just little things like that. If people share all this knowledge with others, then it can make a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. I think the internet's been great for that, bringing us all out of our bubbles and
Hmm.
getting information out to other rescues and other people who are also helping cats.
Now, you also had little Pepper, and would you like to share the story of her
Oh
and
my
what
gosh.
happened to her?
Pepper's been such a journey. Oh my goodness. I can't think of any cat that I've had yet who's had quite the story as Pepper. So we have the 4th of July is our Independence Day here in the States, and celebrated by noisy fireworks, which are terrible for animals. The- for not just wild animals, but like your home animals too. More pets go missing on the 4th of July than any other day of the year, because of fireworks noise. And so on the 5th of July, I was driving to work at 4:30 in the morning, and I saw this kitten in the middle of the road. And I'm like, oh no, his kitten. This was this year. And I pulled over and went and grabbed this kitten, and she tried to run away and she couldn't. She was flopping, flopping all over, very, very clear that she was injured and had most likely been hit by a car. And so I scooped her up and I took her to work, and eventually was able to get her to the doc for an x-ray and confirm that she had a broken femur,
Um,
broken and displaced, and it needed surgery, needed a pin placed to put the leg back together. And so I called the rescue, and it's like the estimate was $1,000. And like I said, we are such a small rescue with limited resources. And so we always have to weigh, can that $1,000, how many cats can that $1,000 help versus this one cat? And is there an alternative? So the rescue was like, we really can't do $1,000 for the leg surgery. Um, and the vet was like, well, she's really small. She was only about 12 weeks. And sometimes kittens do okay if you just leave this kind of thing and they heal, and she'll probably be able to walk, but there's always a risk that she'll need it either amputated later or there'll be an infection, and the best thing to do is really to put the pin in. So I'm like, okay, give me 24 hours to think about our next plan. We get her comfortable, give her pain meds, and see what we can do either through the rescue or on my own. So I took her home and I put out a post on Twitter saying, here's this kitten. She has a broken leg. She needs surgery, you know, because it'd be cruel to let her just try to get through that without having surgery. All the pain meds in the world, her leg is broken, you know. So can you help? Twitter. Um, Twitter is there's like a circle of people in Twitter called Cat Twitter, a bunch of cat owners and cat lovers who all follow each other and share cat stuff. It's a really cool like community within the Twitter itself. And this post went completely nuts. In 3 hours, I had $1,300.
wow.
I've never had a
Wow.
post like this asking for help like go as crazy as this one did. Um, it was wild. I couldn't believe it. I'm moved to tears even thinking about it still. Um, it was that, and then a lovely person online named Logan who goes by Skullpunk Zero on Twitch. He organized a fundraiser immediately, um, and generated like $700 all by himself.
Wow.
It was crazy. So we had enough to pay for her surgery, pay for her recovery, set her up with like a recovery suite in my office so that she had everything she needed. Um, and she was in surgery 2 days later.
And it
Got a
was all
pin.
paid for.
It's all paid for by the generousness of strangers. Like the way that people came together for one random kitten on the internet, it will never not blow me away. Um, so her recovery was all made possible by strangers who just cared about one little kitten with a broken leg. So she got her pin put in, and um, she was pretty spicy at first. That's why we called her Pepper. She definitely, part of it was pain, and fear of new situation, and the pain that she was in was definitely making her lash out a little bit. But part of it's just her. She's just a little spicy calico child.
And do you have any history on her as to where she might have come from, how she ended up there? Just did she belong to the family or was she feral?
My guess is that she probably was feral or semi-feral. She was found right outside a apartment complex, low income apartments, and there certainly are cats in that area,
Mm-hmm.
either who have or have not been TNR'd. Obviously not because she was a kitten, so somebody's having kittens. So I'm sure that she came right out of that area. Um, I have been over there seeing if I could see if any of her siblings or like her parents just roaming around, but I haven't. So she's a little bit of a mystery as to her history before I found her. She definitely had some familiarity with people, um, but probably not much. It took her a little bit before she was really came around. But now she's sweet as could be. I don't know where she's gone to.
Does the support that you receive when it comes to almost like a life and death situation, does that sometimes overwhelm you a little bit?
A little bit, yes, because I don't have, I only have about 100 followers, like 300 on Twitter and 100 on Twitch and 100 on Instagram. That's a tiny, tiny circle.
Mhm.
And because that circle has a ripple effect, you know, you try to put out good in the world, and sometimes it comes back to you in moments where you need it the most. And that can be really powerful and a really touching experience. Um, I think there needs to be more of that, to be honest, in the world. But the people that I'm friends with, we're all young, broke millennials. Well, I guess I'm kind of that Gen X cusp, but we don't have a lot to give. And the fact that people will give what they can to help a little bitty animal who can't help themselves is very humbling. And I'm so deeply appreciative to people who help when they can. I try to give that back when I'm able to,
Mhm. And
because I
that's
know,
really just what it's about, is passing it on when you can, and every little cent or dollar can help somehow, somewhere.
yeah, and the animals tell their own stories.
Yeah.
I'm just here to facilitate getting their story told, but it's really all about them. Like I'd never would. So many of my own dollars have gone into their rescue. It's definitely not a situation where I'm always like, hey, I need help. Hey, I need help. I'm not always asking for donations.
Mhm.
Um, it's really only in those dire stretches,
Yeah.
like where I can't cover it and the rescue can't cover it,
Mhm.
but this cat needs help, you
Mhm.
know. And I try to be very conscious of only asking when it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Now, some people may think that you've got to make a lot of changes to your home to make it friendly for fosters or little kittens. And what adaptations have you made to your home? And was it a lot? Was it easy? Was it difficult?
So you really don't need a lot of space. I have a friend right now, the one who actually found Lily, found four other kittens a few days ago, and she's decided to try fostering them. And it's just keeping them in her bathroom. She has a bathroom that's away from their dog. The dog can't interact with them, so they're safe, and they're having a great time. They don't need a lot of space. They don't need a lot of accommodations. They need food, shelter, litter box,
Mm-hmm.
soft place to sleep, toys to play with, and people interaction. That's about all they need. If you can make big adjustments to your house, like adding scratching posts and climbing things and um, lots of enrichment and interaction, and toys and things like that, that's great. But as far as needs, basic needs to foster a cat for a few weeks just to give them a place to stay, you don't have to have a lot. I though my house, we it's different. We had a spare room, and we were fostering kittens in this spare room. And I'm like, we have this spare room and I have kittens in here. I want to make it more friendly for the fosters that I have. So I started setting it up with shelves on the walls and some cat trees and a bunch of toys and things to make it more interactive for the kittens that were here. And I'm like, I could go one step further. I was sitting there thinking, I play a lot of video games, and people are really into watching other people play video games. And people are also into watching kittens. So why don't I combine those things? So I moved my computer up into my kitten room and I redid my entire kitten room to look like a world out of Super Mario World and to kind of like theme it for the stream. And I started streaming my games with Twitch with a kitten cam. So I had the kitten cam running. People could watch the kittens that I'm fostering, and then they can watch me play video games at the same time. But mostly it's become about the kittens. As I've gotten more and more fosters and less free time, I don't have a lot of time to actually game anymore. But I still try to do my cat chat on Saturdays where people can just hang out with me and the kittens. Sometimes we'll do like educational things where I show people how to give a cat a pill, the least invasive way possible, how to trim your cat's nails, just simple cat care stuff. Or we'll talk about different diseases in cats, like if someone has they were considering adopting a cat with FIV, we talked about that. Sometimes I have other cat Twitter people and cat Twitch gamers on, other people who are um, into playing video games and also have cats who their cats might be more famous than they are, and we come and talk about them and their cats. It's just a cool thing to do that kind of gives me something to look forward to in the week, to hang out with my friends and the community online.
So this is your Twitch channel, isn't it, that you're talking about now?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I started doing this in March of this year. Um, I call it crits for cats. So
Mm-hmm.
crits being a gaming term for like a critical attack or a critical
Mm-hmm.
strike, and for cats because every dollar that I raise through the Twitch channel goes back to helping the fosters and the rescues. So if it's not for our rescue, then it gets donated to another cat rescue or another cat in need, like people have helped my cats.
So how do you make money from this to help others? How does it work?
So Twitch has a lot of integrated tools to help. Either you can donate directly through Twitch, which goes right into my PayPal, or you can use what's called bits, which are like a in-app currency that you can buy and like give out freely. It's kind of like Facebook also has stars. It's very
Mm.
similar to that, where each bit is a penny, and then that'll Twitch takes a cut, but it's everyone takes their cut. It's just a percentage amount. The most of what you donate goes back uh, to me through Twitch. And you can also subscribe, which is like a recurring donation of like $6 a month. And I think like five of which actually comes back to me and the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of ways to do that through Twitch. And some people are very successful on Twitch and like do this as their whole living. There are a couple of big names who game for professional living just through Twitch, which is crazy to me. Like, who has that kind of time? But I am not that. So, the donations that I get are very small, but very helpful.
Yeah.
There's been so many times where it's come in clutch where it just helps me buy food for the month for the kittens, or
And
and then
how
I
much?
can.
Sorry, how
Oh,
much
it's
time
okay.
did you say you spend doing the game? And when you have time.
The plan was to spend like at least an hour a day
Yeah.
playing different games, and when I started, that was easily done. Right now, because I have so many different fosters that need different things, that are different levels of sick, I really only get to do my hour a week cat chat on Saturdays, and it's been that way for a couple months. So I really, my schedule says I stream every day. I don't.
You
I don't
don't.
right now. But I did before, and when things settle down, and some of these guys get adopted, I will again.
And do
There's
you do you miss it when you're not doing it?
I do. I miss
Yeah.
that community. Um, I try to play like a different games, like a variety of things. Some people focus on like one game at a time, but I try to do different things because my attention is always all over the place. Um, and so I have a really cool community of 20 to 30 people that just hang out with me. And it's nice to have that social connection too. So it's fun to see those people on a regular basis and hang out with them, and we just kind of chat about each other's cats and the world, and your crazy stepmom or whatever. It's just a nice social hangout.
And how do you attract more followers on the Twitch channel or your cat chats?
A lot of it is just being active, promoting yourself on Twitter, promoting yourself on Instagram, and then just being online. You start to play a game that somebody's interested in, and if you play it enough times and with some regularity, people come back to watch you keep playing that game because it's something that they're interested in seeing. And a lot of it is the kittens. They come for the game and they say, "Oh my gosh, there's kittens," and they're like, "I love this. It's such a great idea." And so, the kittens are their own advertisement.
And do some of these followers then follow you on other media formats as well?
Yeah, it's very cross promotional. So when you're on Twitch, there's ways to set it up so you're advertising your Twitter and your Insta,
Mhm.
and your Patreon and all those other places. So people can just go, oh, boop, 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 follow everything. So, and I
And
try to do different stuff on different platforms so people don't just see the same thing on every place.
and you also have guests on your show as well, don't you?
Yes, yep, I've had a few now, and I'm reaching out to a couple more people. I try to do one a month of fellow cat gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's a really great intersection for the media that I use to bring on people who also use Twitch and are known around the community, and who also have lovely cats that we can talk about. So I try to ask them, like, how did you meet your cat? How did you get started in gaming? What's your favorite types of games? Just general get to know you questions. And it's a great time.
And then how long did it take for you to design your room, and did you do all of the artwork on the wall yourself?
I did. It didn't take very long. I kind of had a very clear image right away of what I wanted to do with it. Um, just because I grew up playing Super Mario, and so I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I want it to look like. Um, and I do have a little bit of ADD, a lot of bit of ADD, and sometimes I go into these phases where I'm just so hyper focused and hyper productive. And as soon as I knew what I wanted to do, I went to Home Depot, got the stuff, and I did it in about. It took about 2 days to get all the paint and all the walls done, and then it was done. So yeah, yeah, my friends kind of laughed at me for it. They're like, "You said you were doing this project, and I knew you were going to go really hard when you got so excited about it." I'm like, "Yes, that's what I do. But if I don't, it'll never happen, and I'll just have all the stuff sitting in the closet for years, and it'll never get done. So either I have to do it all at once, or it won't happen."
How does it feel for you being having the opportunity to do something that you really enjoy, but at the same time doing something that's good and helping others?
It's great. I think it's been a really great outlet for not only for like my creativity, but for my passion to share about cats with other people, and to, like, if I was just playing games on my couch, I at least I'm gonna be spending that time playing games. I could be spending that time playing games and helping
Mm-hmm.
others, helping cats, helping the rescue. Um, it's also time to spend with the cats too, because especially like the unsocialized ones, you just want to sit in a room and be present with them
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and let them get used to hearing your voice and being in the room with your scent. So it's been a really great use of two two birds with one stone.
Yeah. And what are your plans for the future of your Twitch TV channel?
Well, I made affiliate, which is the like the first tier. to where you can actually start getting payouts for
Mhm.
and donations, which has been great. Um, it was such a like big feeling of accomplishment. I don't have any big ambitions to hit partner where you get like all the big advertising dollars and stuff. You have to have a lot more followers than I think I'd ever get. So I don't aspire to be Twitch famous. I would like to actually expand the rescue portion of what I do, um, and partner with the rescue that I have, but maybe turn into my own 401c3,
Mhm.
where I can start doing more hands-on on the ground rescue, taking in grants and things like that, and expanding the rescue portion of what I do, because I found myself getting so many calls to rescue independently, and I don't want to keep being a burden on the shelter that has
Mhm.
helped me so much. It'd be really nice to be able to do things a little bit more independently with the cats that I rescue myself, but have a little bit more financial assistance
Yeah.
to do it
But
than my own paycheck.
but it's having that motivation to do it. And if you have that, then anything's possible.
Yeah, it's just planning connections
Mhm.
and time, you know. And I have planning and I have some connections now, and it's just going to take some time. It's not something that I need to do right away.
Mhm.
Um, it's definitely something that you have to be very thoughtful and mindful
Yeah.
when you're starting a nonprofit. But it's something that I would like to do in the future, and kind of expand what I do with cats and put my passion to work to help the other cats.
And then what would you say to anyone who was considering fostering to encourage them to do it?
Do it. Just do it. Go find your local shelter or your, private rescue, and express interest and tell them, a bit about your living situation, like how much space you have. Do you want to foster little kittens? Do you want to foster older cats? Do you want to work with under socialized cats? Do you want to just give a space to a friendly cat who just needs a place to hang out? Whatever kind of cat that you think you can handle or that you want to foster, there is a cat that needs you. So, and if you think you might fall in love with a cat and not be able to give it up, maybe that's okay, but I would encourage that fear not to discourage you from fostering, because the need is so great, it is unending, it is insurmountable. Um, the amount of times that we've had to turn people away because we don't have any fosters open. The whole reason that I have 9 fosters in my house right now is because there's nobody else right now, and I can't take any more. So why not you? You know, if you're thinking about it, do it. Just try it. And if you do it one time and you hate it and it didn't work out, then you don't have to do it again. But I think you'll find the reward is going to keep you coming back for more.
And how can people find you on social media? Because maybe somebody might want to reach out and ask for some advice or some help if they are considering it. How can people find you?
Sure. So you can find me pretty much all the things. I'm on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at crits4cats, crits with the number 4. Um, I try to update pretty frequently. I'm always try to answer any DMs or private messages that I get. It might not be right away, but you're always welcome to ask me about whatever you want, about about streaming, about fostering, about rescue, whatever. Feel free. I'd love to hear from people.
And do you have any final words for the listeners?
Foster more cats. Definitely get out there. Talk to your shelters. They need you. We're all so full of cats right now. The more that we can foster, the more that we can all save together. So definitely consider it.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today, Bash, and thanks for the amazing work that you're doing and, saving so many lives by doing what you're doing. And yeah, you really appreciate it. So thank you from me and all the little kittens as well.
Thank you so much, Fiona. I've loved to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me and letting me talk about what I do. And um, I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.